Biodiversity, Lesson 1.4, Kingdom Fungi. So last lesson, we took a look at this chart and broke it down for Kingdom Protista. So we'll do the same for Kingdom Fungi. So fungi, if you're thinking about it, it's probably things like mushrooms. And you're exactly right. So the domain for those fungi is eukarya. Our kingdom is obviously going to be Kingdom Fungi, and we'll talk a little bit more about the phylum after. So what is Kingdom Fungi? So they're heterotrophs, they're eukaryotes like we just said, and they absorb food. So most of them are multicellular, except for the one exception, which is yeast, and that is unicellular. So all fungi release spores, which are haploid cells that spread through wind. So little pieces of the fungi break off, and then they get carried in the wind and then spread to other places and planted in the ground there. So they release enzymes to break down into organic matter into nutrients that they will then absorb through their roots. And it breaks down into 4 phylum, which are Zygomycota, Basidiomycota, Ascomycota, and Chytridiomycota. So now I'm just going to break it down for you even more. So if you're ever asked to write the breakdown of Kingdom Fungi, then you'll know how to do it. So of course we have the domain Eukarya and then Kingdom Fungi. And the 4 phylum that it breaks down into are these 4 over here. So the first one is most often described as case-like spores. And remember, all fungi have spores, which is essentially what the fungi is. And so case-like spores, it's sort of in clusters. So if you think of like your common house mold, like mold that you find on bread, that would be sort of in clusters. So that would be an example of Zygomycota. The next one is commonly described as club-like spores. So if you think of like a dome shape like that, that would be similar to what a mushroom would be like. So that is an example of Basidiomycota. The next one has sac-like spores, and it has little sacs, so like yeasts. And then the last one has flagellated spores. So now that we understand the breakdown of the domain, the kingdom, and the phylum, now we can start learning about more details about it. So how does fungi reproduce? So there is a branch called the hyphae, which is this part down here, and it grows into an interwoven mat of mycelium. So that's all this over here. And then that is the feeding structure that grows through to the food source. So that's how it gets its nutrients and its food. And it stems all the way up to there. So then for reproduction, it reproduces asexually and sexually. So for asexual reproduction, which is not actually having something being fertilized, a piece physically has to break off. So the hyphae actually breaks off and it releases those spores, remember, because all fungi have spores. And then sexual reproduction is 2 sexes, female and male, or positive and negative, however you want to look at it, and they form a diploid zygospore, which then produces unique haploid cells, which then reproduces this over and over and over again. And that's it. Thank you for watching.